Here we go. Boom. All right. So, when I was younger, I wanted to do two things: to be a writer and to have superpowers. I guess becoming a content marketer, I fulfill both of those goals. I get to create content on a daily basis, and I use my superpowers to dress better than other people to create it. Ideally, when we're talking about content marketing, and what we're talking about specifically today in this meetup is how do we humanize data to make real-world connections with real people. This meetup and the speakers following are going to discuss how do we humanize personas to make content in the real world that real customers can connect to, use, share, and consume. But oftentimes with our clients or our internal teams, we're asked to do like this superhuman task, kind of like Superman lifting the car, to create content that not only informs people and entertains our customers, but also gets them to do stuff like buy things and sign up. So it's not always as easy as it seems. And let's face it, underneath all of our superhumanness, don't act like you've never done this before. We're human, and that's our superpower. Because whether our clients or our internal teams want to believe it or not, computers don't create content, people do. So before we can create this super content, this amazing content that gets people to do things and sign up and buy shit, we have to assemble a kick-ass team to create it. Not this kick-ass, but this kick-ass. The Avengers, Marvel Comics, Wolverine, X-Men, the whole gang. Thanks, shout out to my superhero consultant, Morris Rowley. How do we get our content? Once we have our content strategy in place and we have the clients buy-in or our internal teams buy-in, how do we get from having a strategy to assembling a team to actually create this content? What I think we need to do is have the Content Crusaders creed. And basically what that is establishing a qualified and talented team, empowering them with the right tools, and evolving that team with incentives and motivation. So let's start with how do you establish and get that team together. So before you go out to Comic-Con and get all the superhero rejects, you definitely want to appoint a leader, a chief content officer. So in the content strategy for the web book, one of the key components and the key piece is to be able to have a person that's going to lead the content strategy. This is someone who is in your organization who already loves content, someone who's consuming it, who's creating it, who's managing it, and basically they've already raised their hand to say that they love content and they want to spearhead and lead this effort. So, you've got a leader, you've raised your hand, you've decided that, you know what, I'm going to take this effort and lead this charge. Where are you going to find content creators? They're everywhere. With over 1 billion blogs, over 100 million, I think just like a month ago there was reported 100 million Tumblr blogs. Content creators are everywhere. So you've got your brand ambassadors, you've got your freelancers, your internal teams, and your agency partners. All of these people come together to make up a content creator matrix. And basically you can assemble your team with any manner of these people. We're going to go into the different content creators next. So ideally you want to start by finding people within your organization. Who are the people that are already creating content within your organization? Who are the people that need to have a seat at the table, the designers, the IA guys, the UX people that are actually contributing to this content and getting it published? Where do they sit? Have them have a seat at the table because they're really important, and they're your first line of defense to get your content strategy out the door. Also, you want to make sure you identify stakeholders, whether it's client side or it's in your own business, your CEO, the people within your organization that are really going to push the needle and get your content to the door. Next, you want to have your agency partners in. My iAcquire people are going to like this. I tend to think that agency partners are like mutant mutants. They're kind of like the X-Men. And basically, they're just really great at creating custom content and are experts at content strategy because it's basically all that they do. They have the tools to create the content at scale and promote it. And they're going to do it efficiently, and you want these guys on your team. Then next, you got your freelancers. Now, freelancers, you can't build a whole entire strategy or a whole entire team based off of freelancers, but you can use them because they pack extra muscle and they come at an efficient cost. kind of like the Hawk. He's a solo contractor. You know, he doesn't really work well with a team. You can use services like Skyward, which is a content management system that also has a network of freelance writers. You can use Elance, which you can find pretty much any service you want for extremely cheap. You want copywriting, editing, design, iAcquire, Elance is definitely your place. And then you can use Behance. I'm not sure if you guys can actually see that. I can't see it, but Behance basically has all your creative people, your illustrators, your designers, when you need something really highbrow. And then lastly, and I think this is your sweet spot, you definitely want to identify and find your brand ambassadors. These are people that are already talking about you online. They're bloggers, they're out there tweeting, they're using your products or your clients' products, and they've already raised their hand and they're already creating content about your company, so why not just tap them and say, hey, do you guys want to create content for us? You can stalk your Twitter mentions with tools like Follow Along. In your analytics and see what sites are linking to you, who's sending you traffic, and you want to make them an offer that they can't refuse. So, you kind of assembled this team, you looked at these different places to find really great content creators. You need to qualify them. Not everybody is good enough to be a content crusader, let me tell you. So, you want to create a questionnaire. What we try to do is send out a questionnaire to our partners to say, hey, what ideas do you have for us? Kind of vet where their head is as far as it comes to your business or your client's business. This is a Google Docs that you guys can download and that kind of got started. You can basically add to it or take away from it as you see fit. I think this is a really useful tool to be able to see what your creators are going to bring to the table. All right, so you've established your team, you assembled your A team, your squad. Now you got to empower them with the right tools. I think the first step to assembling or getting any great content team off the ground is to start with sharing your content strategy. A lot of times we get the ball rolling and we have all these people that we want to create content, we don't clue them in or let them know exactly what the goal or the process of this campaign or the strategy is actually going to look like. Kind of like Robin here, he's like running with Batman and he doesn't know why. He's like, what's up with our content strategy, Batman needs to make sure that he clues in his teammate into what the KPIs, what the keyword selection looks like, what the rate of production or publishing is going to be, so that your teammates and your content creators can be bought into the strategy and actually create cool content for you. Next, I think of equal importance is to make sure that you have a clear and concise chain of command. Who is the content going to go to? Who's reviewing the content? What are the editorial guidelines? How should this content be submitted? I think this is probably key before any content is created because, as I like to think, bottlenecks are really the kryptonite to the content crusader's soul. I use an example from an agency that I used to work at that shall remain nameless. We were doing a content campaign and we were creating about 30 pieces of content a month that was article content, and then on top of that, it was 10 infographics. So it was a pretty hefty load for a small company. And at the outset, approval, legal, they bought into the campaign, they bought into the strategy. We were kind of had the ball rolling, and then, right in the middle, we were just roadblocked or sidetracked with approvals. Legal couldn't keep up with the rate of production. They couldn't turn around the approvals, and it kind of just stopped us dead in our tracks. So if you really clearly identify the chain of command and what the workflow process is going to look like from the beginning, you kind of avoid that at the outset. Next, you definitely want to ideate. And I say you want to get everybody or as many people in a room to come up with ideas as possible. The more the merrier. And the superhero squads, the more skill sets, the better. I like to use tools or actually host a real live ideation session, get the whiteboards out, get the post-it notes out, and use really cool tools like bottle nodes, which allow you to parse the social web and come up with really cool content ideas that you can kind of push and move into your strategy. Next, you want to organize your team, and you want to make sure that all your content is, concise and within a manageable editorial calendar. One tool that I'm really actually loving right now is Trello, and basically what it is just a workstation tool, and you can kind of use it as a collaboration vehicle for your content crusaders to come in, and within the board you can add members, and you can assign content, you can map it out. Currently what we're doing at Razor for our Search Shots blog is using Trello kind of as a content repository, just keeping all of our content ideas within one place and then mapping it out for the next 3 to 6 months. It's really cool because you can upload photos, you can upload article content all within Trello and kind of have a workflow process that way. Next, you want to collaborate. You want to make sure that everyone is within the same, is trained on the same content management system, whether it's WordPress or it's an internal CMS that you're using. One tool that I really like is Compose. And basically what Compose is a plug-and-play content management system, and it plugs into a lot of different CMSs. So basically you have one command center, one place where everybody goes in and they can create content. You can map your content to personas, you can map it to templates, you can assign authors, all within the Compose dashboard. So, we've established our team, we've got our Crackerjack squad, we've evolved, we've empowered them with the right tools, they know exactly what they need to do, what the content is going to look like, what the strategy is. Now we just need to evolve them and make sure that we take things to the next level. What I think, or at least when you have a team and they're doing a lot of the hard work or the heavy lifting for you, you need to make sure that you're cluing them into what's working. A lot of times we tend to share what didn't work or the losses of the campaign or an engagement, but you need to make sure that you're keeping your content creators looped into what's really working and sharing it in a really cool way. A tool called Visually basically is an infographic, kind of like, how do you say, cookie cutter, plug and play? Somebody help me here.
Drag and drop.
There you go. It's an infographic drag and drop, thanks to Devin and Sarah. You can share wins, and they have a really cool feature that allows you to integrate your Google Analytics and create a weekly infographic based on your Google Analytics stats. So you can shoot this out to all of your teammates and let them know, hey, this is what we did right this week, this is what we did wrong, here's where we're really winning, here's where the campaign is really kicking ass. Next, you definitely want to incentivize and make them stars. I don't know about you, but I like when I get stuff for doing things. So you want to make sure that your content creators and your content crusaders are getting the spotlight and shine that they deserve. One cool way to do that also kind of plays into your campaign is to use the Google Plus author profile and the SERPs. Again, this might not be relevant for every single campaign. You might not be able to share author pictures, but if you can, you want to give them the shine and spotlight that they deserve. If you have an internal blog, you might want to do a feature of the month, a contributor of the month type of spotlight to show that your content creators are really doing the heavy lifting and making you shine. So, we've established a team, we've empowered them with the right tools, we've evolved them, to the content cave we go. Thanks. You can download this deck. Keep fighting the good content fight.
Give it up, give it up.